What's up, everyone? Who's new here? I see some people. I see some new people. I got my water bottle. Brandon, is there going to be what's up with the storm? Is it a dud or is it happening? We're supposed to have a storm. We were supposed to have a storm here today. Philip, I got the email you sent me. I did. And listen to the piece, but but I need to give it a little more time here. It's what is it, 46 minutes? Who's new here? Let me hear it. It's thundering there. It's getting ready to happen. I'm gonna look at the radar here. If we lose power, I hope we don't lose power. God, I hate that. That's the worst. Let's see here. Yeah, some pretty severe storms they were talking about, but tornado watch until 4 a.m. Yeah, that's not. Storms may produce large hail. Chance of rain 70%. Strong thunderstorms likely. Oh, great. I can see them. It's looking pretty ominous. Tornadoes in North Alabama. Get your tornado warnings. You're getting tornado warnings in Atlanta right now. Yeah, in Atlanta right now. This is kind of north right now. This is what it looks like. Hold on. Let it adjust here. See that? There. It's yeah. It's actually much more red than it looks. No tornadoes in Rochester. Never. That's true. It looks like this could possibly swing slightly north of here. I'm gonna do the thing. Yeah. I think it's going to just catch the edge of us. Yeah, 4 in the morning, something like that. Tornadoes common in Atlanta. Yes, tornadoes are common. There's a area north of town they call Tornado Alley. It's probably about it's you know 30 miles north of downtown, and they're common more, Brandon. They're common more above north of town as you're starting to go up 75 north. It's a lot flatter, and tornadoes need to have flat land. That's why they happen out in the Midwest so often. Is Tornadoes can't stay on the ground when the ground is really uneven. The funnel will thing will bounce typically, and so you don't see them in really mountainous areas. Usually, you see them in where there are plains, or you'll see them as water spouts over the ocean or over a body of water. So when you have different elevations, you have different pockets of air of different temperatures, which is why when you're going over the mountains, a lot of times you get turbulence, because mountains have, in valleys, the temperatures, you'd have higher temperatures than you would up at the higher elevations, for example. And I seem to have experience in tornadoology. I've never seen a tornado, but I'm fascinated by tornadoes. I'm fascinated by weather events in general, but my kids are always afraid of tornadoes around here. It's very hilly where we live, and so I tell them that you don't typically don't have tornadoes where it's hilly, but we have had tornado warnings, within 2 miles of here. So you never know. So you got to be on guard, and you got to have your phone on. And I've gotten alerts in the middle of the night where we had to come, go downstairs. That's very common around Atlanta. That's Anyway, so hopefully that's not the case tonight. But these are crazy, crazy, crazy storms. Did I go to South Carolina to see the total eclipse? Yes, as a matter of fact, we did go see the total eclipse. Went to the. Definitely did. Went to the. What is it called? The path of. What do they call it? The area where it's completely dark, because we went there and it was amazing. Renzo, in South America, it's nasty when you cross the Andes. Exactly. Is it always turbulent? Yes, right? Just like when you're going over the Rockies, it's turbulent. If you go across, if you fly across Canada and you're going across all these different lakes where you have different temperatures, you'll find there's a lot of turbulence typically. Or if you're crossing the, the jet stream. Anybody that's ever knows about Mount Washington up in New Hampshire, they've had the highest recorded wind speeds ever. I think 247 miles per hour. The White Mountain Range in New Hampshire is I believe it's the jet stream tends to ride over that area, and they have really severe weather anomalies that happen up, 6,600 feet in the air. And Mount Washington's can be incredibly treacherous, even though it's not a high elevation. So, what's up, Brett? A couple of milestones. I hit 20 million views for my channel today. I'm almost at 2,200 subscribers today at 10 o'clock. I hit 286,000 subscribers, I want to say. Something like that. I'm going to look here. Where is it? It's really insane, honestly. It's crazy, really, because I didn't expect this thing to kind of keep doing this, but it is, and it's cool. But 286,628 right now. And probably going to have my biggest day in views ever. Is it like a drug? No, not at all. I don't think that much about it. I mean, I look at my stats. I look at them every day. It's interesting because you look at it to see kind of how you're. What's up, Patty? You're watching from Australian Institute of Music today. There you go. Perfect. Welcome. Hello to everyone. 286,629 subscribers right now. But 20 million views on my channel since the beginning. And the 300,000th subscriber is you can see my YouTube award back there next to the lamp. So, I don't think about it though. People have asked me what do you think about that? And I don't really think about it that much. It's I'm not sure why, but I don't really think about it. It doesn't feel real, I guess. if you had 286,000 people in a stadium or something, or you need something bigger than the stadium, but it's you know, it's kind of you know, since you don't really interact with people, then, you know, other than here, it's the only place I interact with people. Did I feel the same at 100 and 200? Yes. Yeah. When I think about how much work it takes to make a video, that's the thing that really is daunting, because every time I sit down to make a video, it's very stressful. It is. It's every single video feels like that. Oh my God, this is going to take forever. But they get done, and then you move on to the next one. So Renzo, stressful. Why? It's stressful. I don't know. When I do a live stream on the main channel, it's very stressful. Your heart beats fast. It was interesting because Carol was watching. Was sitting here moderating the thing last week, not on the weekend when it was disastrous, but last Friday, whenever we did one last week, Thursday, and I always improvise all my videos. You guys know I don't plan them out. John H just asked that if I plan them out. I don't really plan out my live streams. I don't plan out my videos either. I shoot them from front to back typically, but on the live stream, it's I think really because on the other channel the comments move so quickly that it's you have to ignore them, and to ignore them you just don't look at them. But to not look at them when you have a lot of trolls, because the thing about having a lot of popularity as of late, a lot of new people all the time, is that you know, you're going to get a lot more you know, you're just going to get a lot of trolls. That's just a fact of life. So you have to have someone moderate. And what Aaron used to do, and what I'm going to have Carol do, is just pick out certain questions from people. And you know, Aaron would do things like he would do what do they call polls? He'd conduct polls and do things like that. But it's funny. I just saw the comment. I should hook up a heart monitor. If I hooked up a heart monitor, you would see my heart racing faster, probably. So, Tom, you get dizzy watching him. I know. I get dizzy watching him too. So, okay, so who's new here? High Vibrations is new here. We kind of have a thing over on this channel for those Troll Patrol. There we go. So it is like a drug. I wouldn't say that. Well, it's kind of like drinking a lot of caffeine and having a... Okay, here's all the new people. Welcome all the new people. A couple weeks. John Smith. Cost-effective solution for recording band rehearsal. Best thing for band rehearsal is this. These, I think, are great for band rehearsals. This is a Zoom, just a little Zoom, whatever this thing is. These are great. I record my audio now through this. I've had this for a long time, and I just started doing it probably about, I don't know, 6 months ago, or 6 months ago. I started doing it when 6 weeks ago, 8 weeks ago. Um, you know, they tore down Melody Fair in the round. Thomas, are you new here? I don't recognize your name. Let's see here. Grimly, I don't recognize you. What's it say? Odd question. You're a lefty wanting to find a Les Paul Jr. double cut. Can't just seem fine with Gibson. Any similar guitars? Oh, it's really tough. It's really tough to find lefty guitars. You know, Gibson apparently does closes down all their machines and spends 1 week a year, I heard, making left-handed guitars. So they're probably not great at making guitars. That's why they're really inconsistent, because they don't have a lot of practice at it, making lefties. So, Victor, your wife went past from hating us to ignoring us. There you go. Perfect. You play, Marius plays guitar right-handed upside down. Ooh, that's cool. I like that. Zoom is like a task game. Exactly, Martin. It's pretty much it's pretty much the same. Build a Warmoth lefty guitar. That's probably right. SGs are symmetrical. Well, yeah, SGs are symmetrical, and my Gibson guitar back there is symmetrical. My Les Paul Jr. is symmetrical. I would think that, you know, it wouldn't be difficult to switch it around. Just switch the nut around. Well, you switch the nut around, but then you got the toggle switch in the wrong spot. It's tough. Kirk, it's your first live stream. Welcome. It's way more laid back here. You know, we got 153 people. It'll be up to 200 people. Andre, the problem is the jack. It is the problem. You know, Hendrix used a curly cord, you know, but he would, you know, he had a different kind of, the way he rested his right arm was probably, the way that he played with his right hand was probably dependent on the way the chord came out of the thing. It probably was all developed like that, you know. Another interesting thing that you don't think about is that most people practice sitting down. Most people play guitar sitting down, but yet when you play on stage, people stand up. Why he used the curly chords? Because that's pretty much what they made back in the 60s, Renzo. You can buy them now. They're retro chords and stuff, but they're not that useful these days. Yeah, so it's tough getting left-handed guitars. My friend Chris, dad was a lefty, and he when he passed away, he left Chris 140 guitars or so and a bunch of left-handed guitars. But Chris is right-handed, so anyways, so I was talking with my friend Daryl the other day about talking about playing over changes and practicing playing over changes, practicing playing jazz, you know, or playing over standards, things like that. And I don't ever practice playing over standards because I haven't played a jazz gig since 1991. But what I did from 1982 to 1991 was play 5-6 nights a week out in front of people. And that is really the best thing you can do for your playing, because you have to have the pressure of doing this in order to improve. I liken doing live streams like this to playing a gig. You have the same kind of energy. You don't know what's going to happen. There's people watching. You don't want to fall on your face, you know. But you need that pressure in order to... Hey, Roberta. Hey, Chris. Do I have all the repertoire memorized, or do you use the music? Well, that's the real key here. That's the question. So I did an experiment today. I'm going to get around to this by explaining something here, and I'm thinking of a there's a thing that I call visualization. In order to play over a tune, in order to play over anything, whether you're playing over a rock tune, jazz tune, if you're improvising, you have to have an idea for where the changes are going. And in order to do that, you have to visualize them. Now, don't ask me questions right now. I'm in the middle of a thing here, all right? So there's a term called, I want to say it's a trail list, but that's not what it's called. There's a term for when you're switching languages and listing things. I used to do this with my kids. We take 3 different languages, okay? Let's say English, Mandarin, and German, okay? I'll do this with Dylan, for example. And you take the numbers 1 through 10 or 1 through 20, and you have them practice starting in one language and just counting, but switching languages on each digit. So you'd go German, English, Mandarin, German, English, Mandarin, and you go up to 20, and then you count backwards, okay? It has a term. It's not context switch, double K. Hey, Ron. There's a term for this. I thought it was called a trail list. So in order to keep, so I had Carol do this today, because Carol speaks English, Mandarin, and, well, she doesn't speak Mandarin fluently, and she speaks Indonesian because she's from Indonesia. So I had code switching. Thank you, Joe. Code switching. Boom. Of course, Joe. Got it. Okay, code switching. So code switching is you have to visualize the numbers in order to keep track of where you are. It's the same thing as if you're improvising over a tune. But with the tune, not only do you visualize, but you have to hear what the progression is, and you have to pre-hear what you're going to play. Boom is right, Joe. That is amazing. So I was talking with Daryl about this, and he said, he was talking about the difficulty of visualizing the changes through this. So I was telling him about this thing, and I was talking with Carol about this, and Carol was doing it today, and Carol said, "Wow, that is so hard." And I said, "Well, how are you?" I didn't tell her, when you're doing this language switching, I didn't say, or I said to her, "How are you keeping track of where you are?" And she says, "I'm just visualizing the what number I'm on. I'm seeing the number. That's how I keep track of it." You're using the prefrontal cortex, your working memory, in order to keep track of it. So it's the same thing about, with playing over a tune. If you're playing over a jazz tune that has a complex chord progression, or a simple chord progression, you always have to keep track of where you are. Now, you have cues if you're playing with other people, because you're going to get information from them. You'll listen to your bass player, you'll listen to your rhythm player, if you're a guitarist, if you're a keyboardist. If you're a keyboardist, you'd be comping with your left hand or whatever while you're soloing, and you keep track of the chords that way. But if you're playing on the guitar, right, then you need to, hold on. Let's see if we can do this here. So if you're playing on the guitar, there you go, Renzo. I like that. Look at, you're doing it right now. Wait, you messed up. Exactly. So one of the things I like to do, I was saying to Daryl, is if you play a guitar, like this guitar is very hard to play on. This is a old Guild classical guitar that I got when I was in high school. It's 1977 I've had this. So this guitar you can't really play anything real fast on because it's hard. It's got high action, right? And it's tough. I mean, you just can't play the normal stuff like you play. You just can't run scales and do things that are very hard. So it limits you to playing melody. And then I say, take one spot in the guitar and try to play, improvise, and keep track of where you are, and inform the listener where you are, because that's ultimately what you need to be able to do. You should be able to hear the changes if you're playing over a tune. And so you have to keep track of where you are by seeing the chord chart. You have to keep track of where you are. You have to inform the listener of where you are. But you have to, and you should be able to, the listener should know where the chords are changing. Okay, so I was talking about, let's say you take a tune like Blue Bossa or something. Now, Blue Bossa is a bossa nova by, who wrote Blue Bossa? Who wrote Blue Bossa? Why can't I think of it? Kenny Dorham, that's right. So that's the first part. Then it changes key. So you're in C minor there. You got C minor 7, F minor 7, right? Then D minor 7 flat 5, G7, it could be altered, the C minor 7. Then you go out to E flat minor 7. It's kind of like a minor blues, but it's not. Then you So that's so Blue Bossa is a great tune, but how do you inform the listener? Well, you have to do things. You got to play really simply and change to the right notes in the right spot. So I'm going. I just played. You hear that there, and you hear in the third of that F minor 7 chord, right? But I saved that note. I didn't play that A flat, right? Then, and you heard when I went to the and you can hear when I go so like if I'm going there's your G7. F minor 7. So I'm gonna. Whoops. Oh, see, it's tough. Little diminution. So it's really, really, how am I visualizing the changes? Well, I'm kind of using my ear, and I'm thinking of the chord changes. I literally see the chord progression. But I want to play lines and melodies that, you know, have a direction within themselves. So sometimes on the C minor 7, you know, if I'm going, so if I'm doing let's say I just take the triad here. So I did on the C minor 7. I'm just using neighbor tones. What'd I do? I'm playing when I'm playing on the C minor. Sometimes I'll back cycle, right? If I think of a, you know, so right there. So I'm going. So I'm going. So I did da 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 ba. And there's my third of my F minor 7 going. And then on my D minor 7 flat 5. So on D minor 7 flat 5, I'm blowing. I'm thinking like F minor. And then G13 flat 9. Right? G. There's a, I'm using E triad over there. Right? Then, but I, what was it? Let's see, so, you got the third on that chord there. you know, I mean, you can hear those changes. It's really hard to, I mean, I'm not doing, I mean, I could do enclosures, but, you know, if I'm doing, that would be like an enclosure. Right. So I did like I'm thinking my C minor 7. So I'm gonna. Here's my third, fifth root, third, fifth root, right? And then, well, I'm here. Where do I go to get to my? So, here's we go 3, 4. Then I'm on my D minor 7, flat 5 right there. Here's F minor 7. Then I got to go my D minor 7 flat 5 and say it's tough. I'm not used to improvising like this. I've not, I told Daryl, I said, I haven't played on a jazz tune since 1991. Anyways, but you should be able to hear where every change is. You should be able to hear where every change is if you're really improvising. But you do hear the A flat major 7, of course. Did I learn the cage method, Kevin? No, not really. So this guitar is really limiting because I can't play anything really complicated on it because it's so hard to play. You're just muscling your way through it. So so it forces you to try and really make melodies. But it doesn't matter what tune you're on. If I were to play, Stella by Starlight or All the Things You Are, I would do the same thing. I'd say, let me take one area of the guitar. I'll start down here and do it, Would it be less daunting starting with a 12-bar blues? It doesn't really matter what you're playing. It depends on what you're, if you're playing over a blues, it's really no different. You got to make the chord changes in the same way. Can I improvise over changes on all keys? Sure, of course. What exercise you do to memorize the fretboard? I just, when I would practice, I wouldn't necessarily do I just practiced a lot of things, and I wouldn't necessarily run scales or anything like that. But I would do things, you know, if I was, if I was doing something like this tune, I would maybe take the spread triads or something. So right here, I'm doing C minor 7. If I went here's my spread triad for C minor 7. Next inversion. Next inversion. Right? And each of these inversions, so I'm going root, third, off the fifth, then I go off the root again. Or sorry. And then I go off and I do the spread triads on that, for example. That would be something maybe I would practice, you know. Go through the whole tune and do those things. And then, you know, use those things and play melodies, right? So I'm, you know, okay, so there's an idea that I just played, a motif where I use the does my left pointer finger use steroids? I don't know what that means. So I played a so right there. It's tough. So I'm just using, for example, something like that. On my D minor 7.5 right there. I'm using like A flat major 7 sharp 5. Then, right, and then I go. Wow. The spread triads sound better than those. Yeah? Says who, Riff Machine Band? Says you? If you do say so yourself. I think they both sound good. How's that? You got nothing to say to that, do you? Does my son hear notes and motors? No, he doesn't think about notes ever. He only thinks about notes when I ask him what they are. The band hammer might be in play. That's right. I don't see him. Where'd he go? He shrunk. He disappeared. He or she, whoever it is. Yeah, so it's those things. It's really, that's why you practice every day. You practice so that you can execute these things. Now that guitar is incredibly difficult to play on. If I was playing on another guitar, though, it's easy to fall into stock ideas that Van Helsing. That's pretty good. He's playing bandolin. Hey, if you want to put on the forum ideas for things for my t-shirts, I signed up today. I'm waiting to hear back from Amazon merch. That's where all my merch is gonna be, through Amazon merch, it looks like. So you just buy it through Amazon. It'll be on my website, but if you have ideas for things that should be on the t-shirts, let me know. I mean, I have my Everything Music and Rick Beato thing, or my things I'm doing. Chris, let's see here. With guitar, it's almost more about remembering and keeping it available. It's not hard to forget some of the esoterica you learn. That's very true. Tom, my playing doesn't feel schooled. I'm playing by ear, though. I'm just trying to play melodies. That's why I'm. And once again, if you know that you're limited because you know whatever you do, it's not going to come out. Yeah. So actually, the boom tee, everything. Put those down. Make a thing. Somebody make a thing for it on the forum, and I'm gonna have coffee mugs, hats, everything. So I should have it. I would think it's going to be available by maybe the end of the week this week. But free improvisation or improvising over chord progressions with just a click track, and then going back and listening to it is really the key. It's difficult. It's really difficult to do. That's the goal. You got to play Carmen, please. Do I like to voice the D half diminished with an E in it? It depends. I mean, if you're going to play, if I'm playing on the D minor 7 flat 5, right? I might play the E in it for the low grade natural 2. It really depends on what so he's talking about this, So I played this sound, A flat Lydian augmented over this. Right? So I'm thinking, so I'm D minor slam 5. That's as your natural ninth there. Huh? Right? Anyways, so yeah, natural 2, flat 2, whatever you're hearing. You should be able to hear it all though. Could be F minor major 7, could be anything. You know, I was playing C minor major 7. On this chord though, yeah. So on the F minor major, that's the sound there. F minor major 7 or A flat major 7 sharp 5. It's all the same thing. Okay, I'm getting my chops back now. Then G altered, right? So you got, there's your, right? Alter dominant. Then C melodic minor. But you have to know where these scales are in every position if I'm playing that chord, right? Now you see what I said about your chops. I mean, if you can play on that, man, you can play on anything. I tell you this: when I was in college, and I was a bass major, classical bass major. Oh man, my chops were amazing on guitar because I'd play the bass all day for hours, and my hands were so strong from playing that I could play anything on the guitar. I never had to ever. I think that's why my right hand picking never really developed, is because it was or I didn't develop it like some people. I just could play everything with my left hand and make the notes come out without doing anything. It's fun. I played on that guitar right there too. So double bass makes you stronger. It really does. I mean, it's What song would I recommend to learn chops? Harry asks. To learn chops. Well, you can play anything with chops. If you pick up electric guitar right now, feel like the Flash. Exactly. There you go. I did one bass video, Ron. I did one on my upright bass, and I just forget to do one. I don't know. I just have to make a note of it. Why did I not blow up with Steve Vais and Joe Satriani's back then? Because I stopped playing jazz, or I stopped playing guitar when I started writing songs. So I stopped playing. I stopped improvising and stuff like that because then I learned to write songs. and then I wasn't interested in improvising. I don't know why. Who's my favorite guitarist with the best chops? Let's see. Who's got the best chops? Oh, I don't know. I mean, there's some, like rock guys, jazz guys. Let's see who's got great chops. Guthrie Govan has great chops, and he's got incredible feel, and he's a great improviser for fusion. Amazing. Frank Gambale has great chops. For fusion, and for rock, so many. Steve Vai, Joe Satriani, all these guys got incredible chops. That are great players. I mean, so many. Daryl, exactly. There's tons of different people that have great chops. Um, so you got fusion people. I mean, I kind of divide people up into their genres, though. You got your fusion players, and then you have your kind of like Gambale. Holdsworth was a fusion guy, that's in kind of in between jazz and rock. Kurt Rosenwinkel, Joe Diorio. I mean, Joe had great chops. Matheny has great chops. He's a jazz player, though. And then, I mean, most of these guys have great chops. Marty Friedman, then in rock. Steve Vai and Satriani. Steve is a. I wouldn't say Steve. I don't think Steve would call himself a fusion player. When he played with Frank, was he a fusion player, though? He was kind of fusing. I don't know. I'm not sure. It's hard to categorize people, but people that have different chops for different things, yeah, it's there's so many great players though. It's hard to. What are chops? Can you get your ideas out or not? I'd rather, Steve calls himself a rocker. Sure, exactly. I'd rather have somebody that could play a great melody and develop great ideas. That's why Wes Montgomery was so good, or somebody that has incredible time, and can put all the notes in the right place. Wolfgang, I used to play gigs with Wolfgang all the time when we were in college together. We used to do duo gigs. Wolfgang, I haven't thought of him in a long time. Kurt Cobain did have great chops. He had great singing chops. That Tom is correct. In the pocket is the most important thing. That was kind of the thing I was talking about last night that Matheny was talking about. It doesn't matter what you play if you play with good time. If you can play ideas, my thoughts on ear players only. Well, well, if you're a great player, then you've got a great ear. George Benson, there you go. Unbelievable chops, super high information player. Um, Larry Carlton. Now, Larry Carlton's one that had great chops or has great chops and plays everything in the right spot rhythmically, too. I guess we were talking about guitar players, but I mean, ultimately, you just play by ear anyways. I mean, that's all I'm doing here. I'm playing by ear. Joe Pass, incredible chops. Played by ear. We're all playing by ear, really, unless you're just playing patterns. Lukather, great chops. Ted Green, Neil Schoen, great chops. Taste is the great intangible. That's true. Taste is the great intangible. Yeah. Wes. People the people that I think are the best are the people that can. Brian May, there's a great example too. The Tom said in rock, people that can play, that can play melodies that have like sentence structure. Chris, you never heard me talk about Emily Remler. I've talked about Emily on here. Emily and I were really good friends, really close friends. I played with Emily a lot. Every time I talk about Emily, I get really depressed. That's why I don't talk about Emily. We were really tight. So I don't not talk about her on. I don't not talk about her on purpose, or so she died. She was 32 years old when she died. We were really close friends, and it's a very sad, sad thing. That's why I don't talk about her. But I have talked about her on here. You guys know that I've talked about Emily Remler, right? Anyone remember me talking about Emily Remler? Somebody must. I've talked about her a few times on here, but not in a while. It's really, really depressing. Yes, 2 times. There you go. Yeah. And I got really depressed about it. Yeah. Tell us about her, Subi. She was, Chris, what I get for not watching all the shows. No, it was a long time ago, Chris. It was a long time ago that I talked about her. She and I played together. I met her. She dated a good friend of mine named Jay in the mid 80s, and Jay we went to undergrad together, and I knew Emily's playing. I was teaching in Ithaca at the time, and it was 87, I think. And Jay brought Emily up to hang out, and they crashed at my place, and Emily and I played together. We used to talk all the time. I went down to Queens. I stayed at her place down there. She came up many times. We played gigs together, and she struggled with addiction since she was 16 years old, and she had been clean for 4 years, 4.5 years at the time she died. And it was her first trip. She died in Australia. It was her first trip where she didn't have contact with her sponsor. She was addicted to heroin. And we'd be playing sometimes. We'd just be sitting in my living room playing guitar, and all of a sudden she'd stop playing in the middle of a tune and have to go call her sponsor or go smoke a cigarette. I mean, she was really open about her struggles with addiction, and it was incredibly painful when she died. When I heard that she died, Iden called me because Iden was friends with Emily, and I introduced Iden and Emily just loved Iden, and Iden called me and told me that he really was upset about it. He said Emily had died, had OD'd in Australia, and he talked to some, because he was friends with somebody that was on the gig with her, so it was before it was even really in the news, and it was just horrible. And she was, Anyway, so that's why I don't talk about Emily. But that's the story. I have some recordings of me and Emily playing together too. I knew who John was, Brett. I didn't know John. She wasn't doing a lot of playing at the time. She was playing around. She played around New York and stuff, but was not doing. She wasn't doing a lot of touring then. She played guitar. She was a jazz guitar player, Subi. She was really up and coming. No, she wasn't up and coming. She was well known for years. She has instructional videos. You can see her on YouTube. Go look up Emily Remler on YouTube. You'll see some videos of her playing and stuff. Tornado warning near me now. Is that right? Let me see here. Yeah, I better sign off here. It's not right here, but it could be here very soon. Emily Remler. Yeah, I'm going to sign off here just in case I have to gather the family. So thank you all. This is thanks for the warning. Who I don't know who just that's crazy, right? All right, I'll see you guys. Thanks.